Ladies and gentlemen, hello there. It is your boy Tello. I know I didn't put out a video yesterday, or almost the day before. Am I missing out on 2 days now? Is this not daily uploads? My bad for that, guys. Listen, I've been streaming the past Saturday and Sunday, so sometimes I'm a little too locked in on the stream. But if you're coming over there from the Twitch to the TVs over there at Hello J Tello, your boy appreciates ya. Much love to ya. And then yesterday we had our raid, which we one-shotted, by the way. No wipes. No wipes, alright? So don't get the tissues, alright? Editor, go down to the store. No need for the Charmin cleans. Just get a couple baby wipes just in case. However, though, you know what I'm saying. No wipes. Settle down. Lock it in. You're on high alert, good sir. I said what I said. However, much love to you, to the Hydration Nation, to the Lock It In, to the Twitch Primers, to all the people subbing to the YouTubes and leaving your comments. Whether you're some haters in the comments, I see some haters lately, I'll backslap the shit out you. No big deal, keep them on check. And for all the people that are subbed, keep them fully erect. Settle down, not that type of video. But much love to you. Oh, yes. It is hot as shit today, by the way, guys. It's like 80 degrees. What is it? Summertime! However, yeah, this is a good water. It seems it's on sale for 20 to 40 silver. And next week, the prices are going up to a WoW token, so you better get it now. However, lock it in, amigos. Now, we got a lot to discuss today. In fairness, let's back it up real quick. I appreciate that transition. You know, we got a couple things to talk about as far as, in a little bit, we're going to talk about Seal of Martyrdom and how it got affected by the aura of this past weekend when they were trying out this new damage reduction aura within Season of Discovery. Sorry for my hair going a little wonky right there. Anywho, and then how I also hit up Aggrend, you know, hit up the Brethren, and I asked him, you know, what was the situation about this. Got a response from him, so we'll go over that. And then we're also going to talk about some Warlocks, where they also got a bug from this as well, with the damage reduction aura, and their class gets acting a little funky too. So it seems like this aura broke some things in PvE as much as it, you know, made some things happen in PvP. Now, let's talk a little bit about the aura. So, I did some conductive testing after, I would say, roughly the first night, 6.5 hours of doing Arathi Basin and getting my cheeks absolutely diddied for straight hours. No diddy though. Settle down. We feel bad for Meek Mill. Much love to him. However, though, yeah, we were getting straight diddied by the Horde for a good minute. It was pretty rough, but we won a couple games. Lions and BGs tends to quit. It is what it is. However, we got to test, you know, the PvP aura. That's what it was all about. And to see what we were going in there and, you know, what we were going to expect from it. Now, in fairness, before I even did it, I was like, you know, thinking to myself, like, you know, this aura might be a good change. It sounds like, you know, the damage reduction, it might help out. It's 50% is a lot, but let's see what it's like. Maybe it's some type of, you know, built-in resilience mechanic to it. Who knows? I'm very curious to see what we're getting involved with. But when I went in there, and after further testing, as a rep paladin, so you're looking at the rep paladin's perspective, right? And I'm also looking at a lot of perspective of other classes on the battlefield from what I've noticed, because I literally was out there all night. The one thing I'll tell you right now, as far as rep paladins, in PvP, we are basically a wet noodle right now. It didn't feel good. Now, I'm not saying you can't have, you know, a big burst damage, potentially, as a rep paladin, you know, in a 1v1 scenario, depending on the class you're fighting, right? And, you know, you could feel the output of the damage doing something. But overall, when I was swinging at a lot of classes and obviously doing my abilities, doing, you know, trying to do my burst damage, obviously, you know, they're trying to test us out from the burst meta that we're in, and I get that. There's a lot of changes that need to be done. But overall, it didn't feel good as a rep paladin. It made me actually switch to Reckoning Paladin, which I, you know, was watching, like, videos from other people doing Reckoning stuff, hearing the Discord out, and then, you know, even my friend, Tariak, much love to him, he recommended going Wreck, man, and he said, yo, go Wreck Paladin, man. Wreck Paladin seems like it's doing much better than Ret at the moment, and we'll probably show some clips below here that I'll show you now, that just highlighting the power of the Wreck Paladin, and how, you know, good it really was within this meta of, you know, this PvP aura that they implemented. And it was smacking. It was really nice. You were playing off of, like, getting your stacks. Like, you have to play off getting crit and then go to their back line to the squishies and nuke somebody. Or it's great against rogues in particular because you're getting crit so much. And rogues right now currently, they're actually still 2-shotting, 3-shotting through this meta. I've seen some highlights from a lot of other videos too on YouTube, and also just from buddies of mine, and they're still smacking through this damage reduction aura. So rogues are actually killing it through this aura, but the reckoning was happening. We were bringing it down, and there was times it worked, there was a lot of times it didn't, but when it did work, it was really fun. So I can only imagine what this is going to be like when the aura is gone. I also heard like Holy Shockadins or just Holy Paladins were having a little bit of a better time with this aura in general. So it seems pretty interesting from their perspective. I have any comments below from any of my Shockadins. If you have any further information of that, I only heard from a couple of them that they said they enjoyed it, but I'm curious about all of you guys if you liked this change or not for the Holy Shockadins, the Holy Paladins. Let me know in the comments below. Overall, though, as my experience with the battlefield in general, I noticed that Hunters had a lot of control, and this is something we went over a couple days in the video where, you know, Hunters got all those buffs, and with this change it made it where I was feeling like as a Paladin I had to pop freedom every couple seconds no matter what, just removing my buffs nonstop. This is on top of shamans that were removing the buffs nonstop, and this is, you know, obviously what they naturally do, but with the increase to Hunters in general for their range capabilities, it just made it a complete nuisance. And listen, much love to the Hunters, no hate to them, it just obviously we're talking about, you know, my point of view, what was going on. In general, I noticed Warriors were doing phenomenal with this aura, and I actually enjoy that a lot. So much love to the Warriors in chat, because I do think the Warriors deserve a place within PvP. They deserve to be the frontliners. They deserve to be the people holding the guard, getting the heals from the priests, getting tanky, feeling like they have good utility within the fight, and, you know, the fear control, the hamstrings, you know, the deep wounds, etc. There's a lot of things that they offer. The Sunders, and you know, and just, you know, doing a lot of damage and being a valuable asset on the team as the strong player of their squad. So I love the fact that Warriors feel good with this, and Mortal Strike seems to feel pretty fucking good from what I was hearing from other Warriors. But in general, I noticed that they were doing pretty good. A Priest, and let's talk about healing since we're going into the subject right now. I noticed healing was at an all-time fucking high. It felt like phase 1 again, to the point where sustain was doing much more than the damage that you were able to dish out. I do feel like priests were actually fucking insane. And in general, any healing class that had an option to heal, besides Paladin, because just a standing still Paladin, unless you're Holy Paladin, maybe it's different, but I do think like classes like, you know, like Shamans with the Riptide, and, you know, mages with the Chrono Preservation, and especially priests in general, the healing was just abnormal. Even Druids' healing was pretty fucking insane. Overall, I do feel like right now is what I'm gonna have to say, and some people maybe you guys might agree, maybe you're not, but I was in the trenches. I was in there. I know what it's like, so I'm giving you my honest opinion from a person who fucking actually played the game. The healing is more than the damage being done. I do think the healing needs to be toned down just a smidge, and the damage reduction itself from 50 to maybe 25, 30%, to test that out if they're ever going to test it again. And we're going to talk about that, actually. Put that on a pin, on a side note, editor, and stick it on a sticky note, because we're going to talk about the testing that I think Blizzard should do next time around. However, I do think the changes, I can see what they're trying to do. But I do think that this is exactly what I said in a couple videos ago, that if they're going to implement this, it's going to affect more classes than others. And it's totally noticeable that some classes are doing more damage, some classes are doing way less damage, and they don't have the utility and the enough, you know, to get out of the battlefield or etc. to basically survive or dish out what they're getting. You know what I mean? It's just basically is what I'm getting at, is kind of a weird shit show. So I think this blanket change was a patch on a wound that's just slightly too big for the patch. And I think there needs to be more in-depth look to this type of aura if they're going to do it again, for further future PvP you know, changes that they do down the line. Overall, though, I do feel like, yeah, you know, other classes were stronger than others. and some classes felt like they were weaker. Of course, obviously from my experience, Ret Paladin didn't feel good, but Reckoning felt better. Which I love playing Ret. That's my thing, you know. But it just I had to switch off, and I couldn't even use Sulthraze. I went back to Parasomnia, which is a nice sword. I love that sword. But the Sulthraze build was just not working at all for me. But maybe for some other Rets, maybe you tried it out and it was working. But for me, I did it hours on end, and it just didn't feel as good as using Parasomnia with Reckoning. It felt a little bit better for me. But in general, yeah, the healing, the damage done. I also think another thing to talk about is mana management. I think a lot of people were going like out of fucking nowhere, dude. Like the mana seems really bad in PvP. Like it was just like so fast. I think that is a situation where they have to look at that too and see what they're going to do about mana management, mana regeneration, or the resource itself, and come to some type of terms with the community and what they should do next time around with the aura as far as mana goes. But just in general, I think, you know, there is some possible positives I can see from this change. But to go a little bit further into what I wanted to talk about, what I just said before on the pin, the way they implemented it. So I'm not gonna lie here. I genuinely think that Blizzard should have never implemented it on the player base for like a weekend only thing. I think these type of things need to be set in like a side PTR realm or something that's tested, and they either test it themselves as devs, like on a 10v10 team, and like put a video out or something highlighting it on their YouTube and asking people what they think, you know, what kind of, things that they like from seeing individual classes perform with certain values, or certain values. I don't even know, I'm stuttering right now. Certain values, statistics, and data that we can look off from. I even was talking about it with Sky too, and I was like, yo, like it would have been so cool if people like were invited to like 100 server or person server realm where they got top PvPers, content creators, and just tested this out, showed the community first, and then we can talk about it and have this back and forth, rather than just push it out on the WoW community and use us as just basically guinea pigs to try it out, and then now all of us are either flipping out or all of us are loving the change. So I think they could have did a little bit of a better job as of going about how they dished out the aura itself, by trying maybe a side server realm just for like a limited weekend event and then go from there. I think that would have been a much better scenario, just my opinion. But if you guys have a different one, that's it's completely up to you. It's just I'm gonna stand on whatever the fuck I say, just the truth. However, though, I do want to go into what happened as well as on Twitter, also with Reddit, and also talk about how it also broke some of the PvE aspects for two classes. And I'm not sure about any other class, but let me know if anything happened with you guys. I'll be very curious to see that. So I found this post on Reddit, and then I was seeing stuff on Discord, and then I tested myself in Raid last night. And Seal of Martyrdom, which is basically self-damage, right, and how the mana restores from the ability itself, was actually nerfed by 50% after the PvP changes went live. So here's an example here. So just finished our Sunken Temple, and this is from this individual here. They did their Sunken Temple raid today and noticed the healers on our team were struggling with a bit of mana, which typically is not the case when we run 3 Paladins, 2 Prot, 1 Ret with Seal of Martyrdom, and our mana is typically infinite. And this actually happened with my guild. We have 3 Paladins. It's the same setup. Well, it's actually 1 Prot and 2 Rets, or 1 Prot, 1 Shocking, and 1 Ret. And we basically just... we never run out of mana, since the changes that they did. And I know Aggrend and them said that they were going to make, changes to mana regen in the future. So it was understandable. We were just enjoying it for what it was, even though it was way too much. It clicked that it might be due to the 50% PvP damage aura nerf applied today. And after a quick test, it looks like that's definitely the case. So you could see that his character's name is Path, and Seal of Martyrdom hits the character for 12 holy. Path of Judgment Martyrdom hits the Blood Mage for 227, and then Seal of Martyrdom hits him for 11 holy. And it seems like even after testing some values for even myself, I noticed that we were getting basically half of the mana back of what we were originally getting with the changes. that they implemented. So the seal, which he says even here, should be dealing 10% damage to self instead of doing 22.7 damage, rounded to 23. It's doing 11.35 damage, rounded to 11. As the mana return scales off of damage, taking this essentially a 50% nerf to mana return. Pretty sure this was unintentional, and honestly, Sam was probably restoring too much mana anyways, but I figured I would post this here and maybe get some attention, and not sure how many people are already aware of this. So to the individual who made this post, I believe this is here, Summoner's War App. I'm not sure if that's your name. However, or Oil underscore Ocean, much credit to him. Thank you for this post, because I put this out in the Paladin Discord, and then I also reached out to Aggrend on Twitter about this. And after the nerfs of yesterday, even in our raid, our mages and our priests, we completed the raid, but they were going much more quickly, and they had to rely on their abilities and mana pots, which is totally normal to rely on mana pots when you need them and your abilities, but to the point where it just felt back to the point where we were, where shamans with shamanistic rage are just adding much more value to their team, and now our Seal of Martyrdom, which is supposed to help our team with raid mana, is not helping them whatsoever, to the point where it's like kind of useless. Felt a little, you know, a bummer. It felt like a bummer. I'm just gonna be straight up to you. I'm not even gonna fucking lie. And not to say I do lie, but I'm just saying, I'm just being straight honest with you, not trying to cookie cutter around my words and keep it raw with you. Now let's look at the post. So I tag Aggrend. I say, Aggrend, not sure if this was intentional or maybe just a bug at the moment, but some folks in Discord and Reddit have taken notice of this. Just curious on your thoughts. I wanted to see what he had to say from the man himself. So Mr. Aggrend replied, let's zoom in a little bit here, guys, so we can zoom in on the video. It's due to how much damage reduction is built. Basically, it reduces all damage inflicted to other players, including yourself. So if you're doing an X% of less damage to yourself, you get that much less mana back. Not a bug per se, just how the damage reduction works right now, but it's definitely unintended, but not entirely unexpected. Side effect for sure. Same thing happens with Shadow Word Death, I believe, feedback damage. We'll see what happens with the next iteration of the damage reduction, pretty much, of the aura. We do plan to tune it more before calling it a success and leaving it in place. And if we can find a good workaround for that side effect, I'm confident we can. Thanks. Now, before I go to my reply, I really think that at the end of the day, the damage reduction aura and how it was implemented should have been, you know, basically polished out for PvP. And even if it was a 50%, you know, blanket nerf, and we were testing it out this weekend, and obviously we're going to complain and bitch about it, it's totally fine, I understand. For some people, it's great, for some people, it's not. But at the end of the day, it should have been just strictly polished for PvP. I don't think anything should have been touched in PvE until they addressed PvE things. This weekend, for a lot of people, that could have messed up their raids for them, especially on the Alliance side. Now, we're only talking to Alliance here. Horde players, hear me out. We're talking to just the Alliance. We're not coming at you guys right now. But for the Alliance, for a lot of Paladins, that messed them up. And they were dependent on, you know, a lot of good mana return values for the raid. And for some of them, it felt good. But obviously, we knew these changes were going to come. But just not from a nerf of PvP. So I do think that was probably maybe a potential mess-up end on either the one of the devs or the engineers, or whoever was doing the coding. That's something that they probably just overlooked. Not a huge ordeal, because this aura is going away today. But in general, I will say, though, I do think it's important to have Seal of Martyrdom players have their place within the raid to provide that utility for good mana regen for their classes, and it also feels good to certain Paladins to play that, you know, fast play style with, you know, a quick weapon, using Seal of Martyrdom, getting the procs, using the Exo machine gun build, and obviously eventually later down the line fixing two-handers with Divine Storm and Seal Command, and then having both of them in the spectrum where they both can fit within a raid, providing good utility back to the raid, providing good AoE and clearing and also health back to the raid, etc., and having Paladins utilized for multiple different things, and figuring out how Paladins can be, you know, the class to be one of the most ultimate utility classes within the Alliance side for the game, for a raid in general. And I like that, you know. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to favor the Paladin, but obviously I play a Paladin. I'm trying to fix, you know, and look at things with our class that we can improve upon. So obviously this is what you guys are coming here for, and this is what I'm talking about. So no hate to other classes. But in general, I do think, yeah, you know, I really like the fact that we were getting a good amount of mana back. I don't think it should be an overtune of it, but there definitely should be a sweet spot so our raid feels, and other people's raids feel good about the mana that they're getting back from Seal Martyrdom, and feel like the Paladin is not just a selfish class that just slaps on Sanctity Aura and just focuses on themselves. So I would like to see that. However, I responded back. I said, yeah, I believe the DR aura has a place within SOD. However, I think the problem with DR is that it's affecting some classes more than others. I think warriors inherently are doing a much better job with this aura, while some classes are taking a hit from it. And I do agree with that, and I stand by what I said. I like the fact that warriors are doing good, and I like the fact that, you know, they have a chance on the battlefield. I also think that the feeling of giving mana back to the raid does feel good with Som before DR was implemented, even though it was a lot of us, or it was a lot, and us Paladins are aware of this. However, I do know that y'all have mentioned changes with mana regen in general for future phases, and that is 100% the truth, because they are working on mana regen and fixing this and changing it up and making sure that the resource of itself is not entirely only depending on regenning mana, but managing it efficiently, but also feeling like you could still pull out your abilities, pull out your, you know, your global cooldowns, and rely on obviously points where you have to use your mana regen abilities, but at the same time not make it so much of a deficiency, or if that's even a word, or basically something like where you're super dependent on always being buffed up completely with mana, but at the same time you're obviously going to have to pop a mana pot sometimes, or pop an ability sometimes. But overall though, I can see where they're trying to go with it. I just think this change should have never affected PvE stuff. So let's take a flip of the script and go into the next subject. Now, I noticed too that I thought it was just the Martyrdom users, because I'm looking at the comment below from Jim over here, and Martyrdom is also busted, as he explains to this individual, I believe it's Aiden Morris, which I appreciate your post as well, amigo. And he even mentions, and I heard this from Warlocks, and supposedly Warlocks in their Discord are talking about this, that Warlock's Hellfire deals 100% normal damage to enemies and 50% of normal damage to themselves with the PvP modifier turned on. I know Warlock dot damage and Drain Life are laughable right now with the modifier, but at least they can Hellfire more. So, my question is this. What is going on? What is going on? I think at this point, Aggrend, if you're watching the video, much love to you, but some of these things gotta be unintended. 100%. 100%, brother. Something's not right here, alright? Now, once again, it's understandable. Things happen. Some things might break. It is what it is. You fix those things. But in general, I do believe that hopefully next time around, when you guys do these auras and stuff, maybe we tweak some things, maybe we look at it, double check it in the office before you push it out, because I truthfully believe that, you know, stuff like this, you know, is just gonna make the community and they're gonna, and obviously listen, sometimes, you know, the more news you have, the more publicity your game is gonna get, but I do think at the end of the day, stuff like this is just a little wonky, you know, and I do truthfully stand by what I said earlier. I think honestly the best thing we need to start doing for Season of Discovery, and even if it's just a small little server, just a small test server for PvP changes only, or maybe even the developers themselves, give us some video stuff on individual classes, going in PvP, showing some different things, and then us as a community discussing these things would be much more better to provide support for us, and us to provide support for you guys and feedback, so you can see where the community is coming from about things. But that is about it, guys. That's all I really got to say for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and enjoyed your time here. As always, much love, amigos. We'll come out with another video tomorrow, or, you know, sooner than later, and then we'll have more topics to discuss. I appreciate all ya as always, and thank you for all your time, and I hope everyone has a wonderful day and night. So I'm gonna go have some penna vodka later and some shrimp, so I'll catch y'all in the next one. Keep on keeping on, amigos, and I'll see you later. Peace out. I thought I smelled a rogue here. He was about to 3-shot my ass. Settle down.